Welcome back, my friend. It is so good to have you here again, settling in for the night, getting comfortable under your blankets, letting the weight of the day slowly lift from your shoulders and dissolve into the quiet darkness around you. This is a safe place, a calm place, a place where nothing is expected of you and nothing needs to be done. Tonight we're going to wander through one of the most gentle and charming games ever made. We're going to talk about every single random event in Stardew Valley, and we're going to do it slowly, carefully, with all the warmth and patience that this wonderful little game deserves. There is no rush. There is nowhere else to be. Just you and me and the soft glow of a pixelated world that has brought comfort to millions of people around the globe. Before we begin our journey through Pelican Town and all the mysterious things that can happen while your farmer sleeps, I want to mention something very gently. If you find that these videos help you drift off at night, if this voice and these calm, unhurried words make your evenings a little softer and your sleep a little deeper, you might consider subscribing to the channel. There is no pressure at all, and I mean that sincerely. But subscribing is a bit like planting a small seed in a garden. One quiet little click, and it grows into something that keeps giving back night after night whenever a new video is ready. It means these videos will find their way to your feed on the nights when you need them most, and it helps this channel continue making these peaceful journeys for you and for everyone else who finds comfort here in the dark. If you have already subscribed, thank you so deeply. And if you have not, the button is there whenever you feel ready. No rush, no obligation, just an open door. Now then, let us begin. Stardew Valley is a game about farming, about community, about finding peace in a simple life. You inherit a small plot of overgrown land from your grandfather. You leave your dreary office job behind. You move to a tiny town nestled in a green valley, and you begin to build something beautiful from the ground up. You clear the weeds and the stones. You till the soil. You plant your first seeds, and you watch with quiet satisfaction as tiny green shoots push up through the earth. You tend to animals. You make friends with the people who live nearby, you explore caves and forests and beaches, and you watch the seasons change in their gentle, predictable rhythm. Spring melts into summer, summer ripens into fall, fall gives way to the hush of winter, and then the cycle begins again. But within all of that lovely predictability there are surprises. There are things that happen in the night while your farmer sleeps, things that happen when you least expect them, little moments of magic and mystery, and sometimes just plain wonderful silliness that remind you the valley is alive in ways you might not fully understand. These are the random events of Stardew Valley. Some of them are common enough that most players will encounter them within their first few years of play. Some of them are extraordinarily rare, so rare that you might play for 1,000 hours and never see them. And each one adds a tiny thread to the rich, beautiful tapestry of this game. So let us go through them, one by one, gently and thoroughly. Let the words wash over you like a warm breeze across a field of wheat, and if you fall asleep before we reach the end, that is perfectly fine. The valley will still be here when you wake up. Let us start with one of the most well-known overnight events in the game, one that has surprised many a player on a quiet evening. I am talking about the meteorite event. On any night during any year of the game, including your very first year, there is a chance that a meteorite will fall from the sky and land somewhere on your property. The base probability of this event is roughly 1%, but it is important to understand that Stardew Valley checks for overnight events in a specific order, one at a time, and only one overnight event can happen per night. The game first checks for one type of event, and if that does not trigger, it moves on to the next, and so on down the line. This means the effective chance of a meteorite on any given night is slightly less than 1%, because the check only happens if all the previous checks have already failed. A small distinction, but worth knowing if you want to understand exactly how the game works under the surface. When a meteorite does land, you will see a brief message during the overnight transition, and when you step outside in the morning, there it will be. A large, dark, striking boulder sitting right there on your property, taking up a 3x3 patch of space. The meteorite has a deep purplish and reddish hue, almost alien in appearance, with an otherworldly shimmer that makes it stand out sharply against the green grass and brown soil of your farm. You cannot break the meteorite right away. You need a gold pickaxe or better to crack it open. And when you do finally have the right tool and you swing it into that strange space rock, it breaks apart and rewards you with iridium ore and stone. The iridium ore in particular is extremely valuable, especially in the earlier parts of the game when access to iridium is limited. So the meteorite is not just a curiosity, it is a genuine windfall, a gift from the cosmos that can meaningfully accelerate your progress. One important thing to know is that the meteorite needs a clear 3x3 area of open ground in order to land. If every tile on your farm is covered with crops, buildings, fences, paths or other objects, the meteorite will not have anywhere to go and the event will fail silently. You will never even know it was supposed to happen. This is worth keeping in mind as you design your farm. Leaving a little open space, a little breathing room, is not just aesthetically pleasing, it also keeps the door open for surprises like this one. And I think there is something nice about that idea, that leaving room for the unexpected is how you make space for wonder in your life. Now let us move on to something darker, more mysterious. This one involves a visitor to your chicken coop. On certain nights, if you have a coop on your farm, there is a chance that a witch will fly over your property under the cover of darkness. You might catch a brief glimpse of her shadow, a dark silhouette gliding across the screen with a distant echoing cackle that sends a little shiver through the night air. And in the morning, when you go to check on your chickens and ducks, you will find something strange sitting inside your coop. A void egg, dark and mysterious, resting among the hay and the nesting boxes. The void egg appears inside your coop as a collectible item, similar to how regular eggs appear when your chickens lay them. The witch does not require an empty animal slot. She simply places the void egg inside the coop for you to find and pick up, regardless of how many animals you have. The void egg is a special item with several uses. You can incubate it in your coop to hatch a void chicken, a beautiful black-feathered chicken that produces void eggs on a regular basis once it is mature. Void eggs can be processed into void mayonnaise using a mayonnaise machine, which is a product that nearly every villager finds rather unpleasant. Krobus, the shadow creature who lives in the sewer, is the notable exception and actually enjoys it. You can also sell void eggs directly or save them for various purposes. The void chicken itself is a lovely little creature, sleek and dark and slightly mysterious, and owning one feels like having a small piece of the valley's magical underside right there in your barnyard. There is a second version of the witch event that many players never encounter because it requires a specific building. If you have a slime hutch on your farm with slimes living inside it, the witch can fly over and affect your slimes instead of leaving a void egg. When this happens, the witch turns all of your slimes in the hutch black. The practical impact is relatively minor, as slimes in the hutch are already somewhat niche, but it is a real event that adds another small layer of variety to the overnight system. I think the witch event is one of the most atmospheric moments in the entire game. There is something about seeing that dark silhouette against the night sky, hearing that distant cackle carried on the wind that transforms your cozy little farm into something out of a fairy tale. You're just a farmer going about your simple, peaceful life, and yet there are witches in the sky and dark magic brushing against the edges of your world. A beautiful reminder that Stardew Valley is not just a farming simulator. It is a world where the mundane and the magical exist side by side in perfect harmony. Let us now talk about one of the warmest and most welcome surprises the game can offer. On certain nights, there's chance that a crop fairy will visit your farm. She appears as a small, luminous figure, glowing with soft light, fluttering down from the darkness with a trail of tiny sparkles drifting behind her like stardust. She will hover over a section of your crops and sprinkle her fairy magic over the plants below. Then she will drift away into the night, and when you wake up in the morning and go outside, those crops will be fully grown, completely mature, ready to harvest, no matter how many days they had remaining in their growth cycle. This is an incredibly useful event, especially if the fairy happens to target a patch of particularly slow, growing or valuable crops. Imagine planting a field of ancient fruit, which normally takes 28 days to reach maturity, and then waking up one morning to find them all fully grown and ready to pick because a fairy blessed them in the night. The fairy does not discriminate based on the type of crop or its value. She simply chooses an area and works her gentle magic, and whatever is growing there benefits from her visit. I think the crop fairy captures something essential about the philosophy of Stardew Valley. This is a game that rewards patience and consistent effort, but it also sprinkles in these moments of pure kindness, moments where good things happen not because you earned them through hard work, but simply because the world decided to be generous. That is a comforting thought, especially at night, especially when you're trying to let go of the day and trust that tomorrow will take care of itself. Now let us move to something cosmetic and fleeting, but deeply charming. During the overnight transition in Stardew Valley, that brief screen you see as one day ends and the next begins, there are rare graphical events that can occur. These are separate from the farm event system that produces meteorites and fairies and witches. They are purely visual occurrences that play out on the transition screen itself. One of these is the UFO. On very rare occasions, if you happen to be watching the screen during the overnight transition, you might see a small, unmistakable shape glide across the sky. A flying saucer moving silently through the darkness above the valley. It does not land. It does not leave behind any items or change anything on your farm. It is simply there, a tiny moment of wonder, a blink and you miss it flash of the extraordinary. I find the UFO deeply endearing precisely because it serves no gameplay purpose. It is pure flavour, pure atmosphere, a small gift for the player who happens to be watching at the right moment. Not everything in life has to have a purpose or a reward. Sometimes the most beautiful things are the ones that simply exist for their own sake. The other rare transition screen event involves an owl. The owl event had a complicated history. It was present in the game's code from the very beginning, from the initial release, but a bug in the programming prevented it from ever triggering during normal gameplay. It existed only as unused potential, dormant and silent in the game's files. This was eventually fixed in the version 1.5 update. Once the bug was corrected, the owl event became functional, and now, on rare occasions during the overnight transition, you might see a small owl shape fly across the screen. And unlike the UFO, this event actually does leave something behind. In the morning, you will find a stone owl statue somewhere on your farm. It is a decorative item, a cute little owl carved from stone, and you can pick it up and place it wherever you like. It has no gameplay function beyond being a charming piece of decoration, but it is a wonderful little reward for witnessing one of the game's rarest moments. Like the meteorite, the stone owl statue requires an open space on your farm to appear. If there is no suitable spot, the event cannot complete. So once again, we see that gentle principle at work. Leave a little room for the unexpected. Now let us talk about one of the most mysterious and fascinating random events in the entire game. The strange capsule, like the owl, was present in the game's code from the very first release, but a bug prevented it from ever triggering. For years, players knew about it from data mining the game's files, but no one could actually encounter it during normal gameplay. It was a ghost in the machine, a secret that everyone knew about but no one could experience. When version 1.5 was released, the bug was fixed, and the strange capsule finally became a real, functional event. Here is what happens. On a random night, with a small probability, a strange capsule appears somewhere on your farm. It looks like a glass container or pod, greenish in colour, and if you look closely you can see something inside it. Something alive. A small creature floating in some kind of liquid, visible through the glass. It is genuinely unsettling in a quiet, understated way, like finding something that does not belong in the peaceful world of your farm. If you leave the capsule alone, there are a chance each night after several days have passed that it will change. The glass will crack, the container will break open, and the creature inside will escape. When you examine the capsule after this happens, you will find it empty and shattered, whatever was inside now gone, out there somewhere in the valley. And then, in the days and weeks that follow, you might occasionally catch glimpses of something strange. A dark figure, partially hidden behind trees and bushes, visible for just a moment before it disappears. This figure can appear in various locations throughout the valley. It is never threatening, never dangerous. It simply watches. It is simply there, existing on the margins of your awareness, a presence that cannot be explained or interacted with. The strange capsule event is one of the things that makes Stardew Valley feel like more than just a farming game. It hints at something vast and unknowable. Where did the capsule come from? What was the creature inside? Where did it go? The game never answers these questions. It simply presents the mystery and lets you sit with it. And sometimes, a mystery without a resolution is more powerful than one that is neatly wrapped up and explained. Some questions are more beautiful as questions than they could ever be as answers. Now let us talk about one of the very few genuinely negative random events in the game. On any night where you have animals on your farm and their barn or coop doors have been left open after dark, there is chance that a wild animal will attack one of your livestock. If this event triggers, you will wake up to a distressing message informing you that a wild animal attacked your farm during the night. When you go outside, you will discover that one of your animals is gone. Not visibly harmed, not lying in the field, just gone. Vanished. Your remaining animals may also show signs of being upset, their mood declining from the disturbance. The game does not specify exactly what type of wild animal was responsible. The message simply refers to a wild animal, leaving the specifics to your imagination. This event is entirely preventable, and that is an important detail. If you close your barn and coop doors before nightfall each day, your animals are completely safe. The doors keep the predators out, and your animals will sleep peacefully through the night without any risk. So the animal attack event serves as a gentle but firm reminder to take care of the creatures who depend on you. Close the doors, keep them safe. Stardew Valley is generally a very forgiving game, and the animal attack event is one of the rare moments where negligence has real consequences. But even here, the consequences are not devastating. You lose one animal, but you can recover, rebuild, and resolve to do better going forward. A lesson in responsibility delivered with a light touch. Let me now shift our attention to something that happens on a fixed date, but carries the feeling of a random event. On the third day of summer in your first year, an earthquake occurs during the night. You will wake up to a message informing you that there was an earthquake, and when you explore the valley, you will discover that the rock slide blocking the path to the northern part of the map has been cleared. This opens up access to the spa, where you can restore your energy, and the railroad, where trains occasionally pass through. The earthquake is not random. It happens on the same date in every playthrough without exception, but I mention it here because it has the quality of a random event. You wake up one morning and the world has changed. New paths have opened, new areas are accessible, and the valley is a little bigger and a little more full of possibility than it was the day before. Speaking of the railroad, the train event is a genuinely random occurrence that becomes available after the earthquake. Once you have access to the railroad area, trains will occasionally pass through the valley. When a train is approaching, you will receive a notification on your screen, and if you make your way to the railroad tracks in time, you can watch the train rumble by. As it passes, items will sometimes fall off the train cars and scatter on the ground nearby. These items can include coal, iron ore, wood, stone, and geodes. The train event is one of those gentle ambient occurrences that make the valley feel like a real, living place connected to a larger world. The trains come from somewhere far away and are headed somewhere else far away, and your little valley is just a brief stretch of track along the way. Most of the time, the items that fall off are not extraordinarily valuable, but there is something satisfying about being in the right place at the right time. Small things have a way of adding up in Stardew Valley, and small things are, in many ways, the entire point of the game. Now let us talk about the weather system, because weather is one of the most pervasive sources of randomness in the entire game. Each night the game determines what the weather will be the following day, and for most days this determination is random, based on probabilities that vary by season. Spring has a moderate chance of rain, summer has the possibility of thunderstorms. Fall has its own rain probabilities, and winter replaces rain with snow. There are a few fixed weather events, but for the vast majority of days the weather is a roll of the dice. The weather affects nearly everything. On rainy days your crops are watered automatically, saving you time and energy. This frees you up to spend the day mining, fishing, foraging, or socializing. Rain also changes the behavior of the villagers, causing many of them to stay indoors or visit different locations than they would on a sunny day. Thunderstorms are particularly interesting because they introduce lightning to your farm. During a thunderstorm, bolts of lightning will strike random tiles on your property. If lightning hits a crop, that crop will be destroyed. If it hits a piece of equipment or a fence, that item can be damaged or destroyed. However, Stardew Valley provides you with a tool to deal with lightning. Lightning rods are craftable items that you can place on your farm, and when lightning strikes anywhere on your property, any available lightning rod on the farm can intercept the strike. The rod does not need to be near the strike location. It does not work based on proximity. Rather, when a lightning strike occurs, the game checks whether any rod on the farm is available to absorb it, regardless of placement. If a rod intercepts the strike, it converts the lightning's energy into a battery pack, a useful crafting material needed for several important items and machines. So lightning becomes both a threat and an opportunity. a destructive natural force that, with a little preparation, can be harnessed and turned to your advantage. The weather also affects fishing in meaningful ways. Certain fish only appear when it is raining, and if you're trying to catch a specific rain-dependent fish, you have to wait for a rainy day and then make your way to the right spot. The randomness of the weather means you cannot always control when these opportunities arise, which teaches you to be adaptable and seize the moment when conditions are right. Now let us talk about the daily luck system, one of the most subtle and pervasive sources of randomness in the game. Every single day in Stardew Valley, you are assigned a luck value, determined randomly each night as part of the transition to the new day. You can check your luck each morning by turning on the television in your farmhouse and watching the fortune teller's broadcast. She will describe the mood of the spirits using phrases that range from very happy to very displeased, and these descriptions correspond to different levels of daily luck. On a very lucky day, many things are subtly tilted in your favour. You're more likely to find ladders and shafts while mining, more likely to find treasure chests while fishing, and more likely to encounter favourable outcomes in nearly every probability-based system. On an unlucky day, the opposite is true, and the odds are shifted slightly against you. Experienced players often check the fortune teller first thing every morning and plan their activities accordingly. On a very lucky day, they might descend deep into the skull cavern. On an unlucky day, they might stay on the farm and tend their crops. There is also a food-based component. Certain cooked dishes, when eaten, provide a temporary buff to your luck value. Lucky lunch, pumpkin soup, and spicy eel are among the dishes that boost your luck, and these buffs stack on top of your base daily luck. This adds a strategic element to the randomness, because you can partially compensate for a bad luck day by eating the right food. I find the luck system to be a charming and realistic touch. In real life, some days simply go better than others, and there is not always a clear reason why. Stardew Valley captures this feeling in a way that adds depth without ever feeling punishing. Even on your worst luck day, you can still accomplish things, still make progress, still have a good time. Now let us venture into the mines, because they are one of the areas most heavily shaped by randomness. When you descend into the mines beneath the mountain, each floor you visit is generated procedurally. The arrangement of rocks, ores, gems, monsters and ladders is different every time. Within the mines there are special floors that appear randomly. Infested floors are completely overrun with monsters. When you arrive on one, the exits are sealed, and you must defeat every monster before the way forward opens. There are also gem floors, which contain a much higher concentration of gems and valuable minerals, and there are mushroom floors, covered in various types of mushrooms you can forage and collect. The Skull Cavern, located in the Calico Desert, and accessible once you repair the bus, takes the randomness to an even greater extreme. The Skull Cavern has no bottom. You can descend as deep as your supplies and skill will carry you, and the floors become progressively more dangerous and more rewarding. You can find enormous clusters of iridium ore. You can find treasure rooms with chests containing rare items. You can find shafts that drop you multiple levels at once. And you can find infested floors swarming with dangerous serpents. The daily luck value plays an enormous role in the Skull Cavern. On a lucky day, you find ladders and shafts significantly more often. On an unlucky day, progress can be painfully slow. This is why experienced players treat the fortune teller's broadcast as essential information, planning their Skull Cavern runs for the luckiest days. The mines in Skull Cavern also feature random monster drops. Every monster has a loot table, a list of items it can potentially drop when defeated, along with the probability of each. Common monsters drop relatively mundane items. More powerful monsters can drop void essence, solar essence, and occasionally rare items. And certain enemies can very rarely drop the prismatic shard. The prismatic shard is a beautiful shimmering gem that displays every colour of the rainbow and has several critically important uses. You can donate it to the museum. You can take it to a specific location in the desert and use it to obtain the Galaxy Sword, one of the most powerful weapons in the game. Or you can give it as a gift to nearly any villager, as it is universally loved. The prismatic shard can be found by breaking iridium nodes, by opening treasure chests while fishing, by defeating certain monsters, or by opening certain types of geodes. But in every case the sub-ability is low, which makes finding one a genuine thrill. What I appreciate about rare drops like the prismatic shard is that the game never makes you feel like you need them. The prismatic shard is wonderful if you find it, but the game is complete and satisfying without it. The rare drops add excitement, but they never become a source of anxiety. They are gifts, freely given, and you either receive them or you do not, and either way, the valley is still a beautiful place to be. Let us now talk about geodes, because they are one of the purest implementations of randomness in the game. Geodes are rocky items you find while mining, and they come in 4 varieties: regular geodes, frozen geodes, magma geodes, and omni geodes. Each type can contain different minerals, gems and artifacts, and the only way to find out what is inside is to take it to Clint the blacksmith and pay him a small fee to crack it open. Here is where things get interesting from a design perspective. The contents of geodes are not purely random in the way most players assume. Instead, they are determined by a predetermined sequence established for each save file when you create a new game. The first geode you crack in your game will always contain the same item. The second will always be the same. The third will always be the same, and so on. This sequence is unique to each save file, so different games will have different sequences, but within a single game, the order is fixed and completely deterministic. What this means is that if you saved your game, cracked open 5 geodes, noted the results, and then reloaded and cracked the same 5 geodes again, you would get exactly the same items in exactly the same order. The system only appears random because you have no way of knowing the sequence without external tools. It is a fascinating piece of game design that ensures consistency while preserving the experiential feeling of surprise. For the vast majority of players, cracking open geodes feels completely random and completely delightful. The anticipation of each crack, the tiny pause before the contents are revealed, is a simple pleasure that never quite loses its charm, no matter how many geodes you have opened before. Let us return to the farm and talk about giant crops, one of the most visually spectacular random outcomes in the game. In Stardew Valley, certain crops have the potential to merge into giant versions of themselves. The eligible crops are cauliflower, melon, pumpkin, and since the version 1.6 update, parsnip and wheat as well. For a giant crop to form, you need a 3x3 area of the same eligible crop, all fully grown and left unharvested. Each night the game checks each possible 3x3 grouping, and for each one there is a small chance, approximately 1%, that the 9 individual plants will merge into a single enormous crop. When a giant crop appears, it is immediately unmistakable. A giant cauliflower towers above the surrounding fields. A giant melon is an enormous pink and green orb. A giant pumpkin is a huge orange sphere that looks like something out of a fairy tale. Each one takes up the full 3x3 space and can only be harvested with an axe, which yields a significantly larger number of the crop than the 9 individual plants would have produced. The key detail is that giant crops can only form from plants that are fully grown and unharvested. Once a crop is fully mature, leaving it in the ground does not cause it to wither or decay. It simply sits there, and each night it remains, there is another chance for it to merge with its neighbours. This means that if you want to maximise your chances, you should plant eligible crops in large contiguous blocks and leave them unharvested for several days after they mature. Giant crops are among the most delightful visual surprises in the game, and because they do not decay, you can leave them standing as permanent decorative features on your farm, enormous monuments to the abundance and magic of the valley. Every few days, your farm will accumulate a small amount of debris overnight. Random stones, branches and weeds can appear on open tiles. This provides a steady supply of basic resources like stone, wood, mixed seeds, and fibre, and it reinforces the feeling that your farm is a living, dynamic environment that requires ongoing care. The rate at which debris appears is affected by the type of farm you chose at the start of the game. Now let us move into the social realm. Each of the game's many characters follows a daily schedule determined by a combination of the season, the day of the week, the weather, and various other factors. These schedules are not random in themselves, but the weather dependency means that your plans to interact with a specific villager can be disrupted by unexpected rain, giving the social gameplay a feeling of gentle unpredictability. Each villager also has a large pool of dialogue lines, and the specific things they say depend on the season, their location, your friendship level, and other contextual factors. Sebastian talks about motorcycles and programming and his dreams of leaving the valley. Leah discusses her art, her past and her connection to nature. Shane reveals his struggles with depression, his love for his goddaughter Jazz, and his slow, painful journey towards something like hope. These are carefully crafted pieces of character development that emerge naturally over time, revealing themselves at a pace that feels organic and authentic. The randomness of the weather, combined with the context sensitivity of the dialogue, creates an experience that feels remarkably lifelike. In real life, our conversations with the people around us are never exactly the same from day to day. Stardew Valley captures this beautifully. Let me now talk about an interesting social event with a random element tied to a specific item. If you are romancing multiple villagers simultaneously, meaning you've given bouquets to more than one eligible bachelor or bachelorette, there is a group heart event that can trigger where all of your romantic partners confront you about your behaviour. This results in a decrease in your friendship with all of the involved characters. However, if you happen to have a rabbit's foot in your inventory when the event triggers, the entire tone of the confrontation changes. Instead of being upset, the villagers all decide they're perfectly fine with the situation and no friendship is lost. The rabbit's foot is traditionally a lucky charm, and in Stardew Valley it lives up to that reputation in the most literal way possible. The rabbit's foot can be obtained from rabbits in your coop once your friendship with them is high enough, or it can occasionally be found through other means such as the Skull Cavern or the travelling merchant. Having one in your pocket at the right moment is a nice bit of serendipity. This interaction between items and events is one of the many clever design touches that make Stardew Valley feel cohesive and interconnected. Now let me take us to the topic of fishing, because fishing in Stardew Valley is one of the activities most thoroughly shaped by randomness. When you cast your line into any body of water, the game determines what you will catch based on several factors: the specific body of water, the season, the time of day, the weather, your fishing level, and the daily luck value. Within those parameters, the specific fish that bites your hook is selected randomly from a pool of eligible fish, with each fish having a different probability of appearing. Some fish are abundant and appear frequently, others are rare and elusive, appearing only under specific conditions. And then there are the legendary fish. In the base game there are 5 legendary fish, each found in a specific location under specific conditions. These fish are always potentially catchable when the conditions are right, but they are extremely difficult to land because the fishing minigame becomes much harder when you hook one. The fish moves erratically, changes direction rapidly, and requires exceptional reflexes to keep within your fishing bar. The fishing minigame itself has random elements in how the fish behaves once hooked. The movement patterns have a degree of randomness, meaning that even the same type of fish plays out slightly differently each time. This keeps the gameplay engaging and prevents it from becoming purely mechanical. Beyond the fish themselves, there is the matter of treasure chests. While fishing, there is a chance that a treasure chest icon will appear alongside the fish in the minigame. If you manage to collect the treasure while also successfully reeling in the fish, you receive bonus items drawn from a randomized pool that can include gems, ore, artifacts, weapons, boots, rings, and other valuable things. The contents are influenced by your fishing level and your luck. Let us now talk about foraging. Each day, the game generates forageable items and places them in various locations throughout the valley. The specific items depend on the season. Spring brings daffodils, leeks, dandelions, and spring onions. Summer brings grapes, spiceberries, and sweet peas. Fall brings hazelnuts, blackberries, wild plums, and chanterelles. Winter brings crystal fruit, snow yams, winter root, and crocus flowers. The exact placement has a random component. Items appear in different spots each day, scattered along paths, in clearings, near trees, and in various nooks and crannies. Each foraging walk is slightly different from the last. There are also specific seasonal foraging events. During a stretch of days in spring, salmonberry bushes throughout the valley produce berries that you can harvest. Similarly, during a period in fall, blackberry bushes produce harvestable blackberries. The number of berries you receive from each bush is determined by your foraging skill level. As your foraging skill increases, you gain the ability to find higher quality items. At the highest skill level, you can choose a profession that either makes all foraged items iridium quality or gives you a chance to harvest double the normal amount from berry bushes. These professions amplify the value of each foraged item and make your daily gathering walks more rewarding. Now let me discuss the secret notes, one of the most delightful random discoveries in Stardew Valley. After triggering a specific cutscene involving an encounter with a dark figure near the bus stop during winter, you gain the magnifying glass, a tool that allows you to find secret notes while going about your daily activities. These notes can appear as drops from monsters, as items from artifact spots, or as treasures while fishing. Some secret notes contain treasure maps, crude drawings depicting specific locations where items are buried. Others reveal the gift preferences of various villagers. Still others hint at hidden areas, secret interactions, or mysterious events that most players would never discover without guidance. The order in which you find the notes is random, meaning the information arrives unpredictably. This turns the simple act of going about your daily life into a continuous treasure hunt. Every monster you defeat, every artifact spot you dig, every fishing trip has the potential to reveal a new piece of the valley's hidden lore. Now let us talk about the festivals and the random elements within them. The valley celebrates numerous festivals throughout the year, and while most follow a set program, several contain activities with random outcomes. The Stardew Valley Fair, held in fall, features a spinning wheel where you bet tokens and try to win more. with outcomes determined randomly. It also has a fishing game and a slingshot game, both with random elements. The Grange display competition is scored based on fixed criteria, but the items you have available depend on what you have grown, foraged and collected throughout the year. The Festival of Ice in winter features a fishing competition where you try to catch more fish than any other villager within a time limit. The fish you catch are governed by the same randomness as regular fishing, so your performance varies from year to year. The night market, occurring over 3 evenings in winter, transforms the beach into a festive marketplace. There is a deep sea fishing submarine with its own unique fish population, a rotating merchant whose inventory changes each night, a painter who sells decorative paintings with a varying selection, and a mermaid performance on a stage where careful observation of the mermaid's song leads to solving a puzzle that rewards you with a pearl. Artifact hunting is one of the game's most engaging long-term pursuits, deeply intertwined with randomness. Stardew Valley has a museum run by Gunther, and you can donate minerals and artifacts to fill its display cases. Completing the collection is one of the game's most satisfying achievements, but also one of the most time-consuming. Artifacts are primarily found by digging up artifact spots, small worm-like squiggles that appear randomly on the ground. Each area of the map has its own pool of potential artifacts, and the specific one you find from any given spot is determined randomly. Some are common, others are maddeningly rare, and they can take many in-game years to find. But each time you unearth something new, the rush of satisfaction is genuine and earned. There is a lesson here about patience and perseverance. Not everything comes quickly or easily. Some things require you to show up day after day and trust that eventually the thing you're looking for will appear. The community centre is an old, abandoned building in Pelican Town inhabited by Junimos, small forest spirits who communicate through magical golden scrolls. Each scroll contains a bundle, a list of items the Junimos want you to collect. When you complete a bundle, the Junimos reward you, and when you complete all bundles in a room, they perform a magical renovation that improves something in the valley. The items required span nearly every aspect of the game. You need specific crops, specific fish, specific foraged items, and specific artisan goods. Many of these are affected by randomness. You need a fish that only appears on rainy days in a particular season. You need a foraged item that appears randomly in a particular area. You need a mineral from certain geodes. The bundles give you reasons to engage with every part of the game and require patience, versatility, and attentiveness. If you choose the alternative path and side with Jojamart, you achieve the same valley improvements through monetary purchases, removing the randomness of bundle completion, but replacing it with the grind of earning gold. Ginger Island was added in version 1.5 and introduced an enormous amount of new content. It is a tropical paradise accessible by repairing a boat at the back of Willie's fish shop. The island features its own crops, fish, monsters, and mysteries. The Volcano Dungeon is a dangerous mining area with randomly generated floors, random enemy encounters, random ore deposits, and random treasure chests. It introduces new monsters and crafting materials, including cinder shards used for powerful equipment. Ginger Island uses golden walnuts to gate access to various features. Some walnuts are in fixed locations requiring specific actions. Others are obtained through activities with random elements, such as harvesting crops on the island's farming plot, with a random chance of a walnut appearing, or fishing in specific spots. The island also has its own trader offering a rotating selection of items, giving you reason to check back regularly. Mr. Chi is a mysterious figure who sets challenges and offers rewards. After reaching Ginger Island and collecting enough golden walnuts, you gain access to Chi's Walnut Room, where a special orders board offers rotating endgame challenges. These include reaching extreme depths in the Skull Cavern, shipping enormous quantities of specific items, completing the mines under restrictive conditions, and growing chi beans, special seeds with unpredictable yields. The specific challenges rotate periodically, keeping the endgame fresh and giving dedicated players new goals even after hundreds of hours. The Chi Bean Challenge is particularly interesting. Chi beans, when planted, grow into plants whose harvested items have a random component. This makes it a unique farming experience where you cannot predict exactly what your harvest will contain. In a later update, a telephone was added as purchasable furniture. Once placed in your farmhouse, various villagers occasionally call, offering tips, sharing recipes, or simply chatting. The timing and content have a degree of randomness, adding a layer of social interaction that complements face-to-face conversations. The special orders board outside Pierre's shop offers rotating quests from villagers, more complex and rewarding than standard help-wanted requests. The available quests change weekly, and while the pool is fixed, the specific quests offered at any given time are selected with some variation. They ask you to catch fish for Willy, brew pale ale for Pam, gather materials for Robin, or help Linus clean up trash. Each has a deadline and a specific reward. Junimo huts are farm buildings available after completing certain community centre milestones. Each hut houses a group of Junimos who emerge each morning on sunny days to automatically harvest fully grown crops within a certain radius. The Junimos work with a cheerful, bouncing energy that is absolutely endearing. They waddle out of their hut, navigate through your crop rows, and collect mature produce, bringing it back to the hut for you to retrieve. They will not work during rain or winter, and they require clear paths to the crops. These limitations are minor and easily planned around. The Junimo huts represent the culmination of the community centre restoration, and their lively behaviour gives them a personality that makes them feel like living beings helping you because they want to. Let me circle back and make sure the overnight farm events are covered comprehensively. We've discussed the meteorite, the witch, the crop fairy, the stone owl, the strange capsule, and the animal attack. A few additional details deserve mention. Only one overnight farm event can occur per night. The game checks for each possible event in a specific order, and as soon as one triggers, no further events are evaluated. This means the events compete with each other, and the effective probability of any single event is affected by its position in the checking order and the probabilities of all events checked before it. Most overnight events require specific conditions. The meteorite needs a clear 3x3 space. The witch needs a coop or a slime hutch. The crop fairy needs growing crops. The stone owl needs open space. If conditions are not met when an event is checked, it cannot trigger, and the game moves on. This is why it is beneficial to have a variety of farm features and open space. You want to keep as many events eligible as possible so the full range of surprises remains available. Every Friday and Sunday a merchant appears in the Cindersap forest, with a cart pulled by a friendly pig. Her inventory changes each time, offering a rotating selection drawn from a wide pool including seeds, cooking ingredients, furniture, decorative items, and much more. She can occasionally offer items that are difficult to obtain through other means, and she's particularly valuable for completing community centre bundles. Her prices are generally higher than Pierre's, but for rare items the premium is often worth paying. Checking her stock every Friday and Sunday is a habit experienced players develop early and maintain throughout their playthrough. The randomness of her inventory means every visit has the potential to be exciting. The casino is hidden in the back room of the Oasis shop in the Calico Desert. Gaining access requires completing a quest line involving Mr. Chi. Once inside, you can play 2 games, Slot Machines, which are pure chance, and Calico Jack, a card game similar to Blackjack where you decide when to hit and when to stand. Both games use Chi coins, which you purchase with gold and can exchange for prizes including rare and useful items. The casino is a fun diversion and the purest expression of chance-based gameplay in Stardew Valley. For players who enjoy it, it provides a harmless outlet. For those who do not, it is entirely optional. Once you are married and have upgraded your farmhouse to include a nursery, you and your spouse can have children, up to 2. Babies start in cribs, then learn to crawl, and eventually toddle around the house. Your spouse exhibits variability in their daily behaviour. On some days they might water your crops, feed your animals, or repair a fence. On other days they might stay inside or cook a meal. The specific actions have a degree of randomness, giving the marriage a feeling of naturalness. The Stardrop Saloon contains 2 mini-games with significant random elements. Junimo Kart is a side-scrolling platformer where you ride a minecart across treacherous tracks. In its endless mode, levels are randomly generated each time you play, meaning the arrangement of platforms and gaps is different with every attempt. You cannot memorize a layout because there is no fixed layout. You have to react in real time, and luck plays a role in whether any given run succeeds. Journey of the Prairie King is a top-down shooter, with more structured levels but random elements in enemy spawn patterns and power-up drops. Some runs are easier depending on what the game gives you. Both mini-games are completely optional and do not affect any major goals. The Trash Bear is a charming character that appears in the Cindersap Forest beginning in Year 3 of the game. It is a large, friendly-looking bear that stands near the sewer entrance and communicates through thought bubbles. It shows you images of specific items it wants, and if you bring those items, it rewards you by cleaning up littered areas of the valley. The items the Trash Bear requests are randomly selected from a pool of relatively accessible items, meaning each player's experience is slightly different. Fulfilling all of the requests results in a noticeably cleaner and more beautiful valley. A satisfying little side quest that rewards generosity and community-mindedness. The Quarry Mine is a small dungeon in the quarry area, accessible after completing a specific community centre bundle or Joja development. Unlike the regular mines, it has a relatively fixed layout. At the end, you find the Golden Scythe, a special tool more efficient than the regular scythe at harvesting hay from grass. Radioactive ore, introduced in version 1.5, is a rare resource that can appear in the mines and Skull Cavern under certain conditions, particularly during specific Chi challenges. Mystery boxes, added in later updates, are items that can be opened to reveal a random prize, functioning similarly to geodes but with a different pool of possible contents. Mix seeds are a wonderful random element. When you plant them, the crop that grows is determined by the current season, selected randomly from a pool of crops appropriate to that season. You never know exactly what your mixed seeds will produce until the plants begin to take shape. If you plant them in the greenhouse or on Ginger Island, where seasons do not restrict growth, they can produce crops from any season, adding an extra layer of unpredictability. Mixed seeds are obtained by cutting weeds, and they are a wonderful free resource, especially early in the game. The randomness of their output gives them a sense of excitement that more expensive, predictable seeds lack. As you donate items to the museum, you receive rewards at certain milestones. The rewards themselves are fixed, but the order in which you find and donate items is heavily influenced by the randomness of artifact spots, geode contents, and fishing treasure chests. This means the pace of your museum progress varies significantly between playthroughs. Some rewards are quite valuable, including a star drop that permanently increases your maximum energy. The museum collection display is one of the most satisfying long-term projects in the game, and watching it fill up over time is a visual representation of your dedication and persistence. Now I want to take a broader view and talk about why Stardew Valley's approach to randomness works so well. Some games use randomness as artificial difficulty. Others use it to manipulate players into spending more time or money. Stardew Valley does neither. Its randomness is generous, meaningful, and respectful. The random events add surprise without feeling punitive. The rare drops create excitement without feeling mandatory. The daily luck system adds depth without making you feel helpless. Everything is designed to enhance joy rather than create frustration. Stardew Valley was created by one person, Eric Barone, who spent years crafting every aspect with extraordinary care. The randomness is not arbitrary. Every random event, every rare drop, every weather pattern and luck value is there, because it makes the game more interesting, more varied and more alive, and the result is a game that can be played for thousands of hours without ever feeling stale, because no 2 days in the valley are ever exactly the same. There is a lesson here that extends beyond game design. In our own lives, we often resist randomness and uncertainty. We want predictability and control. But Stardew Valley reminds us that a little bit of unpredictability can be a gift. It keeps things interesting. It creates opportunities for surprise and delight. It opens the door for moments of genuine wonder. Not knowing what tomorrow will bring can be frightening, but it can also be beautiful. And in Stardew Valley it is almost always beautiful. Let us now gently wind toward the end of this long and detailed journey. We've covered an enormous amount of ground tonight, from meteorites falling from the sky to fairies blessing your crops, from the witch cackling overhead to the strange capsule appearing in the night, from the daily luck system to the deep randomness of the mines, from the travelling merchant's rotating stock to the geodes waiting to be cracked open, from the weather that shapes each day to the festivals that punctuate each season, from the secret notes hidden throughout the valley to the golden walnuts scattered across Ginger Island. Stardew Valley is, at its heart, a game about finding beauty in the everyday. It is about planting seeds and watching them grow. It is about making friends and building a community. It is about finding peace in the simple rhythms of a life lived close to the land. And the random events, all of them, serve to remind us that even in the most ordinary life, extraordinary things can happen. You do not have to go looking for magic. Sometimes magic comes to you. You just have to leave a little space for it. So as you settle deeper into your pillow tonight, as your breathing slows and your muscles relax, and the weight of consciousness begins to lift, think about your little farm in Stardew Valley. Think about the crops growing in their neat rows under the silver light of the moon. Think about the animals sleeping safely in their barns, warm and content behind closed doors. Think about the fireflies blinking in the darkness outside your farmhouse window. Think about the river flowing gently through the cindersap forest, its quiet murmur carrying away the stress of the waking world. And know that while you sleep, anything could happen. A fairy might descend from the stars and bless your field. A meteorite might streak across the sky. An owl might glide silently overhead. A witch might cackle in the distance. Or perhaps the strange capsule will appear again, glowing faintly in the moonlight. or maybe nothing will happen at all. Maybe you will wake up to another ordinary, beautiful morning in the valley, with the sun rising over the mountains and the dew sparkling on the grass like a million tiny diamonds. And that will be enough. That will be more than enough. The valley is quiet now. The stars are out, innumerable and ancient, scattered across the dark sky like seeds thrown by a generous hand. The crickets are singing their gentle nighttime chorus. Somewhere in the distance, the ocean whispers against the sand. Everything is peaceful. Everything is still. Everything is exactly where it should be. Close your eyes now, friend. Let the valley hold you. Let the warmth of your blanket become the warmth of a summer evening on the farm. Let the sound of my voice blend with the cricket song and the river's murmur until it is all just one continuous peaceful sound. The sound of a world at rest. The sound of safety and contentment and the deep, unwavering knowledge that you are exactly where you need to be. You have done enough for today. You have been patient and kind and curious. Now it is time to rest. Tomorrow will bring its own small surprises, its own moments of quiet wonder. But that is tomorrow's gift to open. Tonight, the only thing you need to do is breathe and drift, and let sleep come to you as gently as a crop fairy descending from the stars. Sleep well, my friend. Dream of golden fields and gentle rain, and the sound of Unimos laughing in the sunlight. Dream of geodes cracking open to reveal amethyst and diamond. Dream of clear mornings and lucky days and the travelling merchant having exactly what you need. Dream of the valley, always the valley, green and peaceful and full of possibility. And one last thing, so softly it barely registers as you drift away. If this helped you tonight, if these words made the darkness a little warmer and sleep a little closer, that subscribe button is right there. One small tap, and every new video will find its way to you on the nights when you need it most. No rush, no pressure, just a quiet invitation, like a light left on, like a friend saying you are always welcome here. Thank you for being here tonight. It has been a privilege. Now rest. The valley is watching over you, and so am I. Good night, and sweet dreams.